are you doing today, Cesar?
I'm doing good, William. It's having some technical difficulties earlier, but I think I'm grateful just to be blessed with another day. So that's always a good start. And and just enjoying the New Year's. So far it's I think it's been kind of we've had a few winters already here, winter storms. One major one last week, and now it's been just kind of steady. So we hope it stays like that. But I know Arizona doesn't struggle with that. So
Let me tell you though, it has been really cold here. I mean, it got down to like 58 the other day. It was pretty
Mhm.
rough. I'm just joking with you. No, whenever the temperature drops into the 30s, because it does get into the 30s at night, my kids are like, "Is it going to
Mhm.
snow?" I'm like, "No, high's supposed to be 68 tomorrow. Sorry, not going to happen."
Jeez.
So, how was your? I mean, for everyone watching and listening, we're have my good friend Cesar from Growing Up Catolico here, and we're going to talk about how Christmas time, the spirit of Christmas, should be something that we go through all year long, really. So, I guess let's start. How was your Christmas? How's the family?
Um, I think for the most part, yeah, family is good. I have, for those that maybe haven't followed, I have a wife, and she's going to be 11 months this month now in January. And um, we we split our Christmases. So part of the Mexican tradition, we have Christmas Eve, where we celebrate. We open our gifts at 12. We pray a rosary usually, and that's kind of bringing the concept of welcoming the new baby Jesus in our lives. And then the next day we visit another family. So we've been kind of splitting, but either family we visit New Year's Eve, or I'm sorry, Christmas Eve, we always do a prayer, either a rosary um, or if anything, like there's another booklet, I forgot what it's called, where it's kind of reviving the story of Christmas, and it includes a little bit of prayers and things like that. So for the most part, I think it was good. I could say it's great just because we didn't have church, so I think that was the missing part for us this year, just not being able to go to mass. And I know some people were fortunate enough to go, but having a baby and just it's a risk we've been kind of having to take care of just because of having COVID before and all that.
Sure. We tried to go to mass on Christmas Eve, but my we're still having mass and everything in my diocese of Tucson right now,
Mm.
but the attendance is limited. So my parish is limited to 150 people. You could,
Mm.
it could seat like 500 or 600 or something like that. But we got
Wow.
there. We were running late. We got there 5 minutes before mass was to start, and they were at capacity, so we couldn't make it. But
Wow.
we tried. It's all good.
Yeah, yeah.
But luckily, a friend and I at our parish, we got together and we started streaming the masses, at least one mass a week. And so he streamed the later mass that night. So we watched it on Facebook. So
Oh, nice.
we still did something. So that was cool. Yeah, but as far as
That's what counts.
exactly, my Christmas, I mean, we go to my mother-in-law's normally on Christmas Eve. Then my parents come over for Christmas. But yeah, it's a good time just to hang out. We talk about the year, talk about goals for the upcoming year, what we want to accomplish. And yeah, it's always a good time. Even though my family moved here from Los Angeles a few years ago, with the schedules, it's hard to get together, even though they're fairly close. So it's good just to get together. So that was good.
Yeah,
And
I think usually family, or I'm sorry, holidays are always a good time to reset. Being able to meet with the family and kind of try to let bygones be bygones.
right,
Especially if, like you mentioned, your family lives close, but if you guys don't see each other, it's hard. But I think that's the time to just wave past like the presents and all that, and just look at the main focus, which is being able to see family. Because I know a lot of people this year might not have that opportunity anymore. Either they lost family members due to COVID or any other illness, or just maybe they lost communication just because of personal differences. And I think that's always the worst part is when you have someone that's living and they almost become, in a sense, they claim they're dead to you, or vice versa, and it just completely stops. Both of you are existing, but yet you're not. Nobody is living. So it's good that family's around still.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's a reminder, especially with everything going on this year, really what's important. Because
Mm-hmm.
a lot of times our schedules get in the way. We get busy with this, that, whatever, and then sometimes we forget what's in front of us. I guess and it was just a good
Right.
reminder this year of not only the what role family plays, what role the church plays in our lives, especially when I mean, let's face it, this year everyone's been impacted one way or another as far as mass goes.
Mm-hmm.
You just said your diocese doesn't currently have mass at the moment, public mass,
They
or
do. They
okay,
do. There's a lot of churches around that have what you have to do is like call ahead of time to schedule, or
okay,
to save a spot, because the one mass that or I'm sorry, the church that I attend is St. John the Baptist in Joliet, Illinois, and currently you would have to call ahead or online, to like schedule an attendance, and that's what I think I've struggled personally, because we can kind of go how we've kind of, we were doing at the beginning of this year after the baby was born, was my wife would go one weekend, I would go the other weekend, and so forth. But now that our baby is very attached to my wife, like she would get panicky, and if she leaves, and so it's hard to go separately, and I don't want to just be the one going, but also I've kind of fallen off going just because it becomes a habit as well. So as much as we would go to church every weekend, that was like the time that almost became a habit, a routine. By not going, it also becomes a routine. So I think this year it helps me to restart, because having just the focus on work and health and all that, I've forgotten about like the spiritual health in that sense. Going
mm-hmm.
to mass, making that routine again, rather than just, oh, I'm gonna try to go, and I think be a little bit more proactive. So if I can be if I can reply to someone's response on or post on Twitter or whatever, then I have the same. That's the same time I could have done to use for registering or my family or my just myself on, for mass or something like that. So I think that's where one of my goals would be.
okay. Yeah, I can see that being tricky though, because it's that extra step. Whereas before, you just got in the car, you drove off, and now you got to make sure you
Mhm.
called ahead of time. So, what kind of notice do you have to give?
So for us, it's depends on the church, because there's a church right down, probably I would say 10 minutes from us in Rockdale. That's another little town, and I was looking for confession, because I wanted to go to confession, and I had called another church and they never got back to me. And he is, I assumed it was a priest just by how he told me, the way he spoke and told me about like, the what do you call it, confession times in church and all that.
Mm-hmm.
But he said they have Latin mass, so that was kind of cool because I've never been to a Latin mass, and so he told me there's mass daily, and you only have to register for, I think, the afternoon mass. The morning mass you can go, but they're in Latin. So I want to schedule. I want to set a goal for this weekend to just wake up really early, as I already do, and go there. But mostly it's been either calling on the phone, or mostly or on what do you call it, online,
Okay,
and just registering yourself.
okay. Let me get your thoughts on this. I mean, we're talking about keeping the spirit of Christmas alive all year long. What are some things our listeners can do to keep that going, in your opinion?
I think to keep Christmas alive is to almost believe, um, why is it that you celebrate Mass or celebrate Christmas in the first place? Because it's a birth of Jesus Christ, the man, and a little bit more into that is that, every day can almost be like Christmas, as much as every day could be, I think, a birthday. It's every day is someone's birthday, Um, and so I'd say that I think looking at what is it that keeps you away from being away from your family, because Christmas is usually been known to have family gatherings and
Mhm.
all that. So I would say that like, how are you? How often are you communicating with people? And I think we have social media, so that's a big giant step for us for being able to talk to people nowadays. But how many days, or I'm sorry, how many times do we actually call people and just say, "Hey, how's it going?" You know, and it almost feels like when you talk to someone on the phone that you haven't talked to in forever, it sounds almost awkward because like you don't do that anymore, you know. And so I would say communication with family, you know, um, as much as you can take time to buy a present. I think that can be also time to use to talk to someone, even if it's maybe a simple text message. I mean, nowadays there's like the app WhatsApp or Facebook Messenger where you can record, or even like if you have an iPhone, where you can record voice notes or
Mhm.
voice messages, and you might not be able to talk to the person, but at least you're having some kind of verbal communication. So I would say communication with family is a big one
You
for
can do
me, at
that.
least.
You can do that in Messenger as well. You can do the voice messages and send them over Messenger. You can do them
Mm-hmm.
up to 1 minute. I think it's important what you said because I think